We got this from the Post Millennial. Minneapolis City Council candidate joins crowd in chasing elderly man after blocking highway with anti-Israel mob. I saw this tweet. Andy No posted it. This is crazy.
It is crazy.
This video. Let me see if we can post some of it. You have this massive crowd blockading an intersection. These people in these cars, they got no idea what's going on. They surround the vehicles. They begin attacking the innocent elderly man who has no idea what's going on. The elderly man inches forward and eventually is able to drive through, and they chase him down after that and continue attacking his vehicle. Dude, the people who are chanting Free Palestine, they're doing so many things. They're in New York chanting, what do we want? We want it all.
They said we want it all.
They said we want it all.
That was right on the corner of that, like those videos. That's where I used to live, that corner.
They're saying, remove the colonizers.
Yes.
Despite the fact that these people who are claiming to be Palestinian are on what they consider stolen Native American land. They are lying about everything.
I was tweeting about that because my ancestors were in Brooklyn for over 100 years. And I'm like, are you serious?
I just think it's dangerous to make this a one-sided issue, because there was a report, I think yesterday, a pro-Israel protester was just arrested in Skokie, Illinois after chasing protesters and pulling out his firearm and firing shots toward the crowd at a pro-Palestine rally. So to make this situation and demonize one side, even though, like I said at the beginning of the show, I condemn them. I hate Hamas. I hate terrorists. But to make this a one-sided issue in our country domestically, it's not, because clearly we have this story here.
It was a guy who did a bad thing.
The problem is, this is not just limited to just one guy. This is an ideology that many people have. Many people are just fundamentally against Palestinians, and Palestinians are against, their oppressors, whatever they deem oppressing. And so it just cannot be limited to one issue. Israel is not innocent in all of this either. There are corrupt powers that be in Israel. And those people, I think, instigate conflict. I think they provocate. And I'm not saying this is on Israelis' hands or anything like that, but I'm saying that Israel's not innocent in all of this.
I don't think
that's coming from a Jew.
I don't think Israel's innocent. I just think that Hamas didn't have to choose to go in there and kill a bunch of people.
Well, Israel didn't have to choose to kill thousands and thousands of Palestinians over the course of the last decade too, 20 times more than Israelis, but they did.
Why?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, there you go.
Ask Netanyahu.
So it's a moot point.
More though?
So
20 times more? Like, what's the actual number?
20 times more.
Well, what's one number? If it's one person, that's 20 people. What's the number?
So here's the issue. That's all, and that's nebulous and immaterial to where I am and what I'm talking about, and it doesn't mean anything.
True.
Okay.
Sure.
If you said in 2014 during Protective Edge, Hamas did X and Israel did Y, we could have that conversation. But once again, when it comes to Protective Edge, it is Hamas attacks Israel because they believe they own it all. It's all theirs. They want it all, and whatever reason, it overlaps with the American left. We even saw, what was the current leader of Hamas saying that he's like George Floyd?
Yes.
And they're the racist. Yeah,
that was from a couple of years ago, but yeah, that's
right, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
they've been planning this attack for 2 years.
Here's the way I see it. Imagine there's you're in a mall and you hear gunshots going off. Mm-hmm. You run into an area and there are two guys with guns, and they're both pointing at each other. We want them to stop. However, one guy started shooting. The other guy was trying to stop the shooter. What do? So what's happening is there are a lot of people who are ignorant to what's going on, who will start, tell me what happened. And then the one guy says, 3 years ago, this guy. And the other guy goes, 5 years ago, this guy. Well, 6 years ago, this guy. Who started shooting right now in the mall? Him. And who are you? I'm trying to stop him. Okay. What happens if you stop the wrong guy? The crazy guy starts shooting again and kills a bunch more civilians. It is a challenge to figure out who is right and wrong in circumstances like this. But the idea now that Hamas attacks Israel and therefore, we're going to have this historical debate is pointless to me. We can have a debate about American financing for foreign governments and all that stuff. And I'm just like, this is a really good reason we shouldn't be involved in foreign conflict.
Agreed. 100%.
Because this is what you get. The problem is it's bleeding out all across the world. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it escapes me, people are so ideologically just impassioned by Israel. It is the craziest thing in the world. I despise it more than anything. This fervor, this zealotry. Don't care if you're for or against Israel. If you've got a rational argument in favor of Israel defending itself, totally hear you. Yeah. If you've got a rational argument about 1947, was it 1967 or 68 or whatever?
Which one? There was 67, and that was the 6-Day War, and then in 73 was the Yom Kippur War.
I have almost never had, I would say 2% of the conversations that have ever arisen about Israel have been like historically accurate, calm conversations. There is always some like, look, dude, I'll be like you're saying, like Israel's committing war crimes and doing all this stuff, and I'm just like, that doesn't mean anything. It's completely meaningless. Hamas committed war crimes. Oh, Hamas committed war crimes. How could you be mad at Israel? Like, it's just mud being thrown back and forth.
Yeah, but the problem is Israel's a formalized government and Palestine's not. And
why is that a problem?
Because Israel is an ally, and when those are American munitions being thrown over the borders and onto Palestinian innocent people, that implicates us in some of that guilt.
It's collateral damage. It's bad.
I don't look at innocent children dying and call that collateral damage.
That's the definition. Collateral damage is a military operation when civilians die.
I know, but I don't just shrug it off is what I'm saying.
We're not trying to shrug it off.
I'm saying that there needs to be peace. Like she said, we should have everybody from every party come to the table. And I think that was going to happen. And it ended up
but I just feel that that's like it's so naive to look at what just happened and think the answer is as simple as a ceasefire or peace. It's just never going to happen.
The answer is obviously British entertainment television. I'll say it once, I'll say it again.
Well, like you said, America should not be involved. That's what we have to say first. We have to put America first, and America shouldn't be in the Middle East, and America shouldn't be in Europe. We shouldn't be fighting anyone's war for them, and we should be worrying about the problems here. Like, again, I say our young men are killing themselves at rates we've never seen before, veterans. And we have our politicians who are prioritizing every other issue above the moon, but these people that are killing themselves here at home. And I think peace is definitely achievable because when Donald Trump was in office, there was world peace. There was no war going on. I think people saw a weak point in Biden's presidency and they said, well, we're going to strike and we're going to create a conflict and we're going to instigate World War III.
I mean, even this video of Biden sort of muttering into the microphone, I have to go to the Situation Room. Yeah. This is not the representation of our country I would like. And I think it is apparent to everyone that there are a lot of forces in the world that are now testing the strength of American leadership, which I hate to say it, as much as I love America, the Joe Biden administration is not presenting a strong front to the nations or to the international community. We saw Ukraine happen. We're seeing things happen in the Middle East. I will not be surprised. I personally feel like we're counting down until an invasion of Taiwan. It seems like just explosions happening all over the place. And the question is, at what point do we say we have to put our own domestic priorities before everything else, even when we have historic ties or relationships diplomatically?
I do agree with you, Tim, about what you said about we shouldn't be focusing on the sins of the father and the grandparent. That shouldn't be the topic of today. So I do agree with you on that. We should be focusing. Yeah, I agree.
I think the challenge for me is like when you learn about how evil really exists, and I wonder when it happens for the average person. And I wonder if so many people in the United States, especially like these people surrounding these vehicles, many of these leftists, I perhaps they can't see the forest for the trees. Perhaps, they are the horde of evil. And because they can't see it or they're not victims of it, they can't understand.
The people here?
So this video of these people in the mob, right?
Uh-huh.
They're evil people.
Yeah.
But this is the banality of evil. This is not malicious. These people aren't individually deciding to take actions, but they're part of a horde, which is victimizing innocent people.
Sure, agreed.
They've not experienced the brunt force on the other side of this, so they don't truly get it.
Yep.
I wonder if there's a point in people's lives where they experience evil and then start to realize, because for me, when I'm younger, I'm like, oh, good and evil are subjective. Everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. And then I got older and actually had some experience. I'm like, oh, wow, evil people certainly exist.
Oh, yeah.
Pure evil.
Yeah.
No question.
I mean, there's
a lot of them.
Not to jump stories, but when this off-duty pilot who theoretically tried to turn off the engine of a plane in air today. I mean, they're still investigating what happened there. But
what did happen there?
Okay, so
we're gonna get to this in a little bit. I mean, I don't want to jump stories.
Oh, sorry, I won't jump stories. But I'm just saying, when you are trying to unpack something that's happened, and when you see any kind of incident from the outside, you have to ask yourself, is this person evil? Did they just want to see the world born. Or, a lot of times we hear it now where it's like, oh, there's a mental health issue. Maybe they're having a psychotic break. Who knows?
True.
We don't know what plays into someone else's motivations. On the other hand, the consequences of their actions remain the same no matter what their motivation was.
Hamas is evil. Israel is a spattering mix of government institutions, corrupt, wealthy individuals, good civilians who are trying to live peacefully. Gaza specifically seems to be 50-50 between Hamas and people who want to be left alone, which creates a very pressing challenge.
Yeah.
The issue I see here is you can't negotiate with evil. No. I mean, like, you can try to negotiate with evil. You can desperately beg evil for peace, and then they'll agree with you and then turn around and put the knife in your back.
Right, like those people on Golden Balls.
No joke. That's why I brought it up. It's a silly show, but I'm watching this and I'm just like, evil people will stare you in the eye and they will try to steal everything from you, and they will cheer for themselves as they destroy you.
And I think this is one of the issues that without acknowledging, if you can't acknowledge that some people just are evil, then you can't acknowledge that there are people who will not, no matter how hard you want them to, understand, relate to, or try to live by a moral code that you or your community share, right? An evil person has no reason to feel bad about anything because their motivations are completely contrary to yours if you're a good person. And I think that's really hard to wrap your head around. Like, can evil forces exist in the world, and can you potentially change them? And I just don't think that's true. And I'm not trying to comment geopolitically now. I'm just talking philosophically.
Yeah.
Evil exists no matter what. What you do to contain it, and if someone can be converted from evil, is a really serious question.
Well, that's why we have histories of moral philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
But people, I think on average, I'm willing to bet most people don't experience abject evil. And I think the more you're exposed to various ideologies, the more people you meet, it increases the likelihood you meet people who are truly evil. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the majority of humans, but there's a lot of them. I have experienced things that I would just say, like, somewhat private, personal stuff. I did not believe such evil could exist, and I just don't understand how people could be so evil. But, you better believe it. We were swatted 15 times in the span of a year, and we have very, very high confidence we know who it was. The police won't do anything about it. They don't care about you. Multiple law enforcement agencies won't do anything about it. We've reported it. We've given them evidence. They don't care. The people who did it, who we assume we know did it, and the people who are aiding those who did it, we don't know 100% who did. We do know who is aiding them, who is providing them with intel and allowing them to do it. And I just could not believe that people I've known and trusted for decades would, for no reason, literally none, smile on their face every day, and then behind the scenes laugh and smirk as they tried to burn everything down and kill people.
It's shocking when that happens, when you trust someone and then they just turn on you. They try and destroy your life.
But just to ask people to understand this, imagine someone you've known literally your whole life. Mm-hmm. They've been to your house for dinner dozens, hundreds of times. You've gone to theme parks and you vacationed with them and their family. And then one day you find out they were pouring Drano in your cereal trying to kill you. Mm-hmm. You just be like, but why?
It's hard to get over something
and they're
that.
laughing when you find out, laughing, saying, I almost got it. Oh, man. And you're like, the evil people exist.
Do you know that story about one of the most infamous female poisoners? I'll look up her name in a second. But she was based in Alabama, I believe. And she just poisoned. She had 5 daughters, poisoned them all, poisoned her husband, poisoned the next guy. She only got caught because she married this like young guy and he was at a VA hospital. And when she would leave for a while, for like a couple weeks, he would get better and then she would be there and he would get worse.
Right.
And it got caught. And when they asked her, like, why would you do this, especially to your own children, to your mother? Like, it was a crazy amount. This went on for like, I think several decades. She just said, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I don't know why I did it. She had no explanation for her actions that she did several different ways over the course of several decades. That's crazy. How do you justify that? How do you explain something like that?
When you look at, like, we're showing this video of this leftist attacking this vehicle. These people are cheering and dancing as they attack innocent people. We saw this at the George Floyd riots. It is mindless, evil. How do you negotiate for peace with people who are laughing at causing suffering?
You have to show them Christ. That's the only way. I mean, anyone who thinks they're going to find a peaceful lifestyle and have a great eternity after and not have Christ at the center of their life here on earth are just stupid. And I think you're going to see evil play out all over the world until people realize that and put Christ first. But I will tell you, again, this whole conflict goes back to putting America first. We need to stay out of it. We don't need to get involved in another years-long war. Evil exists. I'll tell you one thing. Being a young guy on the political scene, I lived in D.C. for 4 months, and I can tell you, I've never seen evil like I have in D.C.
Oh, man.
Coming across folks.
It's the hellmouth.
Yeah. Coming across older men saying things to me and attempting to blackmail and extort me for things that they wanted in exchange. I'm telling you, unthinkable things. And I couldn't thank anyone else for my protection other than Christ. If it wasn't for him and me to be able to pray and rely on him, I wouldn't have made it through living there for only 4 months. So I can't imagine the folks that are entrenched in that mess every day.
DC concentrates a lot of evil.
Yeah.
And one Myers-Briggs personality type. It's like INTJ. It's whatever Hillary Clinton is. There's a huge proportion of them in DC.
Overrepresented.
And also that personality type doesn't like to share space with the same personality type. So sorry, DC, you're meant to split apart.
Man. I don't know. I feel bad for there's the dude and his wife on a farm, and they're just they got a handful of cows and pigs and sheep and goats, and they're we got enough for our family and our friends, just leave us alone. And then you've got people who are just laughing and smiling, hoping to burn it down for no reason.
Well, included in those people trying to laugh and burn it down for no reason is the Biden administration. You remember the agriculture secretary intentionally started giving out loans specifically to minority groups, like farmers who were from a minority group. And it turned out that was illegal. So some farmers took him to court over that. And the judge was like, you can't fix previous racism with new racism. That's not how it works. That's not effective. And so they knocked that thing out. But then Biden was mad about it. And I was like, if you, based on your skin color, you should get more money first. It was total trash.
Yeah, I do think Joe Biden is racist. You're right, Libby. I think
Joe Biden is racist as well. I think he's
He would want his kids to go to those jungle schools or whatever they was talking
corn
about.
pop.
Yeah, with corn pop.
Yeah.
Feel his hairs shine in the.
That is so disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing. I hadn't seen the whole thing about that until recently, and I was like,
"Oh, I know."
He was talking about children stroking his leg hair.
Yes, and you watch
what
it.
Kind of pervert? What kind of horrible pervert that is?
The female poisoner I was referencing before was Ronabelle Martin, I believe. But anyways, she's lots of people down, and only I think her fourth husband survived.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.